Happiness is not something you need to go get. Happiness is what you will experience when you stop going after it. But until you realize this, you're going to try and make an effort to be happy. Remember, Angulimala ran after the Buddha after he was running after his mother. You know the story, right? And then the Buddha goes and says, he tries to save Angulimala, because had he murdered his mother, that would have been a heinous sin, right? And you would not have been able to save him, what we call an anantariya papakarma. Why it's called an anantariya papakarma? We'll talk about these things later. So, after the Buddha called out to Angulimala, he comes running after the Buddha. Yeah? And he thinks, well, the Buddha is quite fair in complexion. He looks, full-bodied. So, his finger is worth the while. So he comes running after the Buddha and he says, Buddha, stop. Actually, he doesn't know that this is the Buddha. So he just says, stop. He calls out. He screams, stop. You, Shramana, stop. So what does the Buddha say? The Buddha says, Angulimala, I have already stopped. You're the one who's running. Now at this point, Angulimala is confused. As confused as you might be, perhaps, when I uttered the words, you're unhappy because you're running after happiness. So Angulimala stops, and at that moment, he asks the Buddha, you are a Shramana, and Shramanas don't lie. So whilst you're moving, why do you say you have stopped? While you're running, why do you say while you're moving, why do you say you have stopped? And the Buddha says, I have already stopped, Angulimala. You're the one who's still running. What does he mean by this? Now, I'm sure most of you, if not all of you, will have learned this maybe in the Dhamma parcel or at school, right, for Buddhism. And you've heard of this story. And perhaps in the way that we were taught it, or the way that we understood it, was that the Buddha was talking about physically moving, running, going somewhere. In fact, that's not what he was talking about. What he said was, I have stopped going after happiness. But you are still doing that. You're still going after happiness. You're still pursuing happiness. You're still going after a happiness that you will hopefully receive by doing something, by going after something. But the Buddha says, no, Angulimala, you don't need to do that. Stop and happiness is yours. I have stopped. Why are you still going? So this was the question the Buddha, so it was in fact a riddle that the Buddha put forward to Angulimala. Now Angulimala understood some of it. So he realized that Shramana does not lie. So having kneeled down, he says, Buddha, I don't understand what you're saying. Can you explain to me? And then, of course, the Buddha goes on to give a discourse. And at that point, Angulimala realizes that happiness is not something you have to go after. Happiness is with you. If you just stopped going after it, you will realize you've already got it. That is why enlightenment is a realization. It's not a discovery. It's not like Columbus who went to America and discovered it was there. It's what you realize you have with you if only you stopped looking for it.